giving it some thought, because our source and our destination viewports do not evenly go into each other, it does make sense that we're going to end up with some floating point numbers in our calculations. So now the question is, which float values here are correct and which ones are incorrect. For example, we have a 9 here for the local coordinate within inside the tile. And is that valid? And because we're using floating point logic, this value here just needs to be sealed. Or is this like invalid and we need to fix something? So I don't know. Let's try to like go up here and try to calculate. Okay, so the width. Okay, so we're modulating. Ooh, yeah, that's some bad news. If we're modulating by fractional values, I think that might put us into a world of pain. That has my suspicion. The width of a tile on the destination being only 4.5 pixels. That seems kind of strange. I don't remember being zoomed in that much to start with. So why don't we scroll up here and kind of see what values we're working with. So source and destination. Okay, so we're going over like a corridor, 128 to 255. So that's the tile. These would be the ranges for well, hold on. That would be like the range for so this is like a 1/4 chunk of the world map is basically what this is, right? Because I know that our source data is 512 by 512, and so we got like 128 to 255. Oh wait, maybe this is a half chunk. No, because 128 to 255 and it's 512, right? So yeah, this would be 128 to 255 is about 128, and 128 would be a quarter of 512. 128, right? 256, and then 512. Yeah, so that would be a quarter. So these values make sense because I initially started zoomed in a way where it would show like a quarter of the world map. So these values are sensible. The destination width and the destination height, right? It should be somewhere around 640, but a little bit less. We already calculated those. We know those are correct. 128, 128. Okay, yeah, that makes sense as well. So this is the viewport on the data set. So that makes sense. Oh. Yeah. What the hell is my problem? Okay, so let's go take a look. That was right. Okay, so this should not be a 1 and a 2. That should be hard-coded as a 1, and I don't know where the fuck I got off putting a 2 in there. Okay, so that's a blatant problem that would cause a lot of trouble for us. Because that was basically saying that on the y-axis, there's 2 pixels when you're doing like collecting when you're collecting data from the y-axis of the source data, that it would be 2 pixels on the y-axis that map to one tile. And that's not what we wanted. We want like a selection area that's 1 by 1 on the source data that represents a single tile, right? So we only have 1 pixel of data on the source data that encodes 1 tile value on the destination viewport. So that was a total fuck up. So let's hope that everything is fixed now. Probably not, because I've been screwing up a lot, but let's refresh and see what is wrong now. Hopefully less. So it's still the so what's interesting to me here is that it's the y that's out of bounds. So the x was in bounds, and it's the y that kind of like got tripped here. And okay, so the y is like 4 and 4, and I have the suspicion that should be like 0 to 3. Oh, am I looping through? I'm probably looping through in a non-scanline order in my loop. Okay, well, let's just not worry about that part yet. Let's 3.5 versus 4. Okay, so definitely, I think there's some floating point. There's some floating point whackery, crackery kind of stuff going on here. So the internal coordinates of... It looks like we've probably rounded the internal coordinates of the destination tile. So the internal coordinates of the tile on the viewport, they look like we've probably rounded them, and this value is not rounded, like, right? Because if we seal this 3.5, we would get a 4, and then, well, this still wouldn't be in bounds, right? This would still be out of bounds. But okay, so we know kind of where it's... I'm going to keep that open, but looking at my source material now. We have to decide which value is wrong. So let's look at those upper bound values and see if the upper bounds are correct. So this guy here, and y1, I'm going to highlight that. Oh, sorry, you didn't see that. So I just highlighted these in orange. We're going to scroll up and try to find where we calculated those bounds. So we got the width, and then we're minusing 1 because it's like minus 1 pixel, right? But if things have been getting squashed and stretched, that might not be quite right. So it might not be minus 1, it might be like minus whatever 1 is in terms of these squashed pixels. Right, so there might be some type of ratio. So the number of sections divided by the size of tile, right? So okay, yeah. So you have the size of tile. So this would be the width of viewport 0, the destination, divided by the number of sections. Yeah. So this subtraction here, you know, we're trying to make sure to account for off by 1 errors. Right, and so the value would be the valid range, right, would be 0 to the width, but not including the last value of the width, right? So like if the tile was 64 pixels wide, right, we would not want to include the value 64. It would be 0 to 63. But since we're kind of messing with squashed pixels, not whole pixels, this minus 1 is some type of ratio that is probably smaller than 1. So it would either be like the source. So these ones should either be the source divided by the destination or the destination divided by the source. I'm not quite sure which one that is in my head, because sometimes ratios confuse me. So it's you're taking God, or is it even that? Is that um is it a squashed pixel though? I think that's my hunch that it's a squashed. Instead of using 1 pixel, we should be using some type of squashed value. The width divided by the number of sections. Um, uh, or is it oddly enough, is it like -1 and then sealed, which would just be no -1 and floored? Um, that seems kind of sensible. Um, is my timer running? Oh, God damn it, it's not. I'm gonna stop recording and re-record because I don't know how long the timer's been running.